Sarah, honey, dinner's ready. Mom called from downstairs. And please, stop wasting time on that phone game. I rolled my eyes, continuing to debug the quantum encryption protocol on my 5-monitor setup. Parents, they see you coding complex AI algorithms and assume you're playing Candy Crush. Coming. I shouted back, saving the latest build of Quantum AI's core engine. 3 years of work, hundreds of sleepless nights, and we were finally ready for launch. If only my family could understand what I was actually building in their wasted attic space. The dining room was set with Mom's best china, never a good sign. Dad sat at the head of the table, his Stanford Business School diploma prominently displayed behind him. My sister Emma, the successful one with her corporate law career, was already seated. So, Dad began as I sat down. Emma has some exciting news. Of course she did. Emma always had exciting news. I've been made junior partner, she announced. Youngest in the firm's history. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Mom beamed. Now that's a real career. I pushed my peas around the plate, waiting for the inevitable comparison. Speaking of careers, Dad turned to me. I've arranged an interview at Goldman Sachs. Junior analyst position. It's time you did something serious with that computer science degree. Dad, I told you, I'm working on my own company. That little phone app, he scoffed. Sarah, you're 28. Time to join the real world. If he only knew. Quantum AI wasn't just an app, it was a revolutionary artificial intelligence platform that could process complex financial data through quantum computing algorithms. But trying to explain quantum neural networks to parents who still used Internet Explorer was pointless. It's not just an app, I started, but Emma cut in. Speaking of apps, did you hear about that ridiculous startup that just sold for $2 billion? Making cat videos or something? She laughed. The tech bubble is getting absurd. Mom nodded sympathetically. This is why we worry, Sarah. All these young people thinking they'll get rich quick with phone games. My phone buzzed, a message from Lisa, my CTO, final tests complete. Neural net performing at 99.99% accuracy. Apple meeting confirmed for tomorrow. Sarah, are you even listening? Dad demanded. This Goldman position is a real opportunity. Peter Harrison's son started there last year, and his already. Dad, I appreciate it, but I'm not interested in Goldman Sachs. I tried to keep my voice level. My company is launching next week. Company? Emma snorted. You mean that thing you're building in the attic? How many users does it have? 10. I thought about the confidential user agreements signed by major tech companies, the patents pending, the venture capital firms begging for meetings. But I'd learned months ago to stop trying to explain. Actually, I started, but Mom interrupted. Sarah, we're just worried. You spend all day up there alone, playing with computers. That's not a real job. My phone buzzed again. Lisa, Apple legal team finished reviewing acquisition terms. Meeting moved up to 9 a.m. I need to go, I stood up. Big day tomorrow. Sit down, Dad commanded. We're having a family discussion about your future. My future is fine, Dad. Fine? You live in our attic. Meanwhile, your sister has a real job, makes real money, does real things, I finished. I know. Emma smiled smugly. Listen to Dad, Sarah. Tech startups are a dime a dozen. But Goldman Sachs. The TV in the living room, which had been playing quietly in the background, suddenly increased in volume. Breaking news. Sources confirm Apple in final talks to acquire Quantum AI for reported $13.8 billion. The revolutionary artificial intelligence platform. The room froze. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. The deal, if confirmed, would be the largest AI acquisition in history, the anchor continued. Quantum AI's founder and CEO, Sarah Chen. My graduation photo appeared on screen. Developed the technology over 3 years, working largely alone. The platform's quantum computing capabilities have been called transformative by industry experts. Mom's hand covered her mouth. Emma's smug smile vanished. That's you. Dad whispered. My phone buzzed one final time. Lisa, PR team ready for tomorrow's announcement. Car picking you up at 8 a.m. I stood up again, straightening my worn MIT hoodie. Like I said, big day tomorrow. Sarah, wait, Dad called as I headed upstairs. Why didn't you tell us? I paused on the stairs, thinking about all the times they dismissed my work, mocked my dreams, pushed me toward real jobs. I tried, I replied. You just weren't listening. Back in the attic, I could hear them arguing below, the TV still blaring details about the acquisition. My phone was flooded with messages, reporters, investors, old classmates suddenly remembering my existence. I turned back to my monitors, where the quantum neural network hummed quietly, processing financial data faster than any classical computer could dream of. 3 years of work, all leading to tomorrow. On my desk sat a framed photo from my Stanford graduation. Dad pointing proudly at Emma in her law school acceptance letter, while I stood awkwardly in my computer science robes, wasting time on technology they couldn't understand. Tomorrow, that technology would be worth $13.8 billion. Sarah. Mom called up tentatively. Could you explain what your company actually does? I smiled, watching the algorithms dance across my screens. Sorry, Mom. Got to prep for my Apple meeting. You know, for my little phone game. Somewhere below, Emma was probably Googling quantum computing. Dad was likely calling his business friends, trying to understand how his unfocused daughter had built something worth billions. But I didn't care anymore. Tomorrow, the world would understand exactly what I'd been building in this attic. And my family would finally have to admit that sometimes, the best success stories start with a daughter they didn't believe in. The next morning, a sleek black Tesla Model S waited in our suburban driveway, looking comically out of place among the neighbors' minivans. Lisa stood by the car, tablet in hand, looking every bit the polished CTO in her Chanel suit. Ready to make history, she grinned as I approached. Mom appeared at the door in her robe, coffee cup frozen halfway to her mouth as she stared at the car. Through the kitchen window, I could see Dad frantically reading something on his iPad, probably catching up on quantum computing basics. Sarah, wait. Emma called, rushing out in her corporate lawyer outfit. Maybe I should come with you. You know, to look over any contracts. We have Morrison and Foster handling the legal side, Lisa replied smoothly. Top tech M&A firm. Emma's face fell. Those were the exact lawyers her firm had been trying to poach for months. Let's go, I told Lisa. Tim Cook doesn't like waiting. That got Dad's attention. He appeared at the door, still holding his iPad. Tim Cook? The Apple CEO. No, the other Tim Cook, I couldn't resist saying. The one who runs the local Apple store. Lisa suppressed a smile as we got into the Tesla. Through the tinted windows, I watched my family stand in the driveway, their expressions a mix of confusion and dawning realization that their unfocused daughter was about to close one of the biggest tech deals in history. The car pulled away, and Lisa immediately went into business mode. PR team's ready. We're trending on Twitter. Every major tech blog is running stories. And she paused for effect. Google just called. They want to counter Apple's offer. I laughed. A bit late for that. Speaking of late, she pulled up some figures on her tablet. Quantum AI's latest test results came in. The neural network is now processing financial data 400 times faster than initially projected. Apple's engineers are excited. Excited enough to raise the offer. They already did. $15.2 billion now. Board approved it an hour ago. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Honey, CNN is outside our house. What should I tell them? Another from Emma. CNBC saying deal could hit $15 billion. Please tell me you have good lawyers. And finally, Dad, Wall Street Journal wants to interview me about your success. Call me. I turned off the phone. The Tesla wound through Silicon Valley traffic toward Apple's headquarters. Outside, life continued normally, people hurrying to work, students heading to class, tourists taking pictures. None of them knew that in a few hours, the tech world would fundamentally change. Nervous? Lisa asked as we approached the famous Apple Park ring. About the deal? No. I pulled out my laptop, checking the neural network's morning diagnostics. About proving everyone wrong? Absolutely. Security waved us through. They'd been expecting us. As we pulled up to the main entrance, I saw a familiar figure waiting. Steve Harrison, my high school nemesis, now a mid-level Apple executive. His father was Dad's best friend, and they'd spent years comparing our careers, always finding mine lacking. Sarah. Steve's fake smile barely masked his shock. You're the quantum AI founder. Hello, Steve, I replied coolly. How's that App Store optimization project going? He flushed. Last week, he'd been bragging on LinkedIn about his revolutionary work-adjusting App Store keywords. Today, he was watching his former classmate walk in to sell a quantum computing platform for billions. Inside, we were led to a conference room overlooking the campus. Apple executives filled the seats, their MacBooks open to quantum AI's specs. At the head of the table sat Tim Cook himself. Ms. Chen, he stood to greet me. I must admit, when our AI team first flagged your technology, we were skeptical. A quantum neural network built by a solo founder? Working from an attic? But then we saw the test results. He gestured to a screen showing quantum AI's performance metrics. The room fell silent, studying the impossible numbers. It's revolutionary, Apple's head of AI added. The ability to process complex financial patterns through quantum states, it's years ahead of anything else. My phone buzzed again, probably more family members discovering my little app was worth more than our entire neighborhood. Shall we begin? Tim asked, nodding to a team of lawyers with thick contracts. Just then, Lisa's tablet lit up. Google's new offer just came in, she announced. $16.8 billion. The Apple executives shifted uncomfortably. Tim Cook's expression didn't change, but his fingers tapped the table once. $18 billion, he said quietly. Final offer. I thought about Dad's dismissive comments, Mom's worried sighs, Emma's condescending advice. About all the times they'd pushed me toward reliable careers, away from my wasteful dreams. Actually, I opened my laptop, pulling up Quantum AI's latest breakthrough. There's something you should see first. The room's screens filled with new data as I demonstrated what the neural network could really do. For the next hour, I showed them the future, not just of finance, but of quantum computing itself. When I finished, Tim Cook looked at his team, then back at me. What's your number? I named it. The room went very quiet. He nodded once. Done. As lawyers scrambled to update the contracts, my phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Breaking. Apple acquires quantum AI for $23.5 billion, largest AI acquisition in history. Somewhere in our suburban kitchen, Dad was probably choking on his coffee. The drive home from Apple felt surreal. My phone had finally died under the barrage of messages, leaving blessed silence in the Tesla as Silicon Valley's perfectly manicured office park scrolled past. CNBC wants you live at opening bell tomorrow, Lisa said, still working. Wall Street's going crazy over the quantum financial applications. Goldman Sachs called. Apparently they're no longer offering you that junior analyst position. I laughed, thinking about Dad's precious Goldman connection. How's the stock market taking it? Apple's up 12% just on the announcement. Every major tech company is scrambling to explain to shareholders why they missed quantum AI. And she paused, checking her tablet. Your parents' driveway is currently hosting 7 news vans. Perfect. As we turned onto my street, I could see the media circus. Reporters clustered on our lawn, cameramen jostling for position. Through the front window, Mom appeared to be stress baking, her usual crisis response. Ready? Lisa asked as we pulled up. 1 second. I checked my reflection in the car's mirror. Same worn MIT hoodie, same messy ponytail. But now, according to Forbes's real-time calculations, I was worth approximately $21.7 billion. The reporters swarmed as we exited the car. Ms. Chen, how does it feel to be America's youngest self-made female billionaire? Is it true you built quantum AI alone in your parents' attic? Sources say Google tried to outbid Apple. Any comment? Lisa stepped in smoothly. Ms. Chen will hold a press conference tomorrow morning. For now, she's spending time with family. Inside, the scene was even more chaotic. Dad sat in his favorite armchair, surrounded by financial newspapers with my face on them. Emma paced the living room in her designer suit, apparently having called in sick to her prestigious law firm. Mom had progressed from stress baking to stress cleaning, polishing already spotless surfaces. "Oh, honey." Mom rushed over. "We've been trying to call. The neighbors keep coming by, and reporters want interviews, and your father's business friends won't stop calling." "Sarah," Dad stood up, clutching a Wall Street Journal with the headline, "Quantum Computing Prodigy Revolutionizes Financial Technology Industry." "The attic," he said quietly. "All this time in the attic, you were actually building a quantum neural network that processes financial data through superpositioned qubits while maintaining coherence long enough to analyze complex market patterns." I finished. "Yeah, Dad. Not quite the phone game you thought." Emma stopped pacing. "Why didn't you tell us? I could have helped with contracts, or like you helped when I tried to explain quantum computing at dinner? Or when you told your lawyer friends I was playing with computers instead of getting a real job?" The room fell silent, years of dismissive comments and missed opportunities hanging heavy in the air. Lisa cleared her throat. "Sarah, Tim Cook's office called. He wants to announce you as head of Apple's new quantum technology division. Full autonomy, unlimited budget, direct board access." Dad's eyes widened. He'd spent 30 years trying to get a meeting with Apple's board. "Also," Lisa continued, "MIT wants to name their new quantum computing center after you. And the White House called. The president wants to discuss national quantum infrastructure." Through the window, I could see more news vans arriving. Somewhere in the house, a phone was ringing constantly. "I don't understand," Mom said softly. When did you? Remember when I tried to explain quantum entanglement at Christmas? Or neural network architecture at Easter? Or when I showed you the first successful quantum coherence test last Thanksgiving?" They looked away, probably remembering their responses. "That's nice, dear. Maybe try something more practical. When are you getting a real job like your sister?" My phone had recharged enough to buzz again. This time, a message from Peter Harrison, Dad's best friend, Steve's father, and managing partner at Goldman Sachs. "Sarah, about that junior analyst position, perhaps we could discuss a more senior role." I showed it to Dad, whose face flushed. He'd spent months arranging that junior position, convinced it was my only path to success. "The press conference is at 9 a.m. tomorrow," I told my family. "Apple's sending a car. You're all welcome to attend." "Of course we'll be there," Mom exclaimed. "I should make sure your suit is pressed and—" "I'm wearing this," I gestured to my hoodie. "The world should see exactly who built quantum AI." Emma stepped forward. "Sarah, we were wrong. About everything." "Yes," I agreed simply. "You were." Lisa's tablet chimed. "Final acquisition documents are ready for signature. Once you sign, it's official." I took the tablet, thinking about all the nights in the attic, the missed family dinners they'd criticized, the endless hours of coding they'd dismissed as waste. "Wait," Dad said suddenly. "Before you sign, I need to say something." He took a deep breath. "I was wrong. Not just about your work, but about everything. I thought I knew what success looked like. I thought. You thought success meant following your path," I finished. "Corner office, traditional finance, country club membership." He nodded slowly. "Instead, my daughter revolutionized 2 industries from our attic. While wearing a hoodie." I signed the documents. Somewhere in Cupertino, Tim Cook was probably doing the same. Speaking of the attic, Lisa checked her phone. "The quantum server setup team is here. We need to move the core hardware to Apple's quantum lab." Through the windows, we could see a convoy of secure transport vehicles pulling up. More cameras flashed as teams of engineers approached the house. "You really built all this here?" Emma whispered, watching as professional quantum computing technicians climbed the stairs to my little coding space. "Yes," I replied. "Right above your room, while you were telling everyone how I needed to grow up and get a real job." Mom started crying softly. Dad stared at his Goldman Sachs business card, probably realizing how small his world had suddenly become. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. "Markets close. Apple quantum deal creates new tech landscape. Sarah Chen becomes Silicon Valley's most influential tech leader." I turned to my family. The car's coming at 8:30 tomorrow. Like I said, you're welcome to attend. I headed for the stairs. I have some final code to check before they move the quantum core. You know, for my little phone game. As I climbed back to my attic sanctuary one last time, I heard Emma ask Lisa, "What exactly is quantum computing?" Lisa's response floated up. "Maybe you should have asked your sister that 3 years ago."